Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. We've got a great new topic for you today, so let's discuss. What thing seems innocent but is actually horrifying? Please remember to like, share, tell us yours, and subscribe. The fact that you can live a totally normal life one minute, and someone else making a bad decision on a whim can either end your life entirely or impact it so severely that you may as well have died. Case in point, a woman in the city near me had a rock dropped onto her windshield while driving under an overpass. The kid who did it were like 14 to 15, and they're all sitting in jail now. She was basically unable to care for herself and was an invalid. She later died after the trial. The platypus. It makes a venom, and if it scratches you, gets the venom into you. It is excruciatingly painful, and while usually the pain lasts for days or weeks, it can last months, and in a couple cases, up to a year. That our bodies are so fragile. Any object with not that much energy can cut through us or make significant damage. A small rock in an eye while you ride your bike can destroy it. Falling into a sharp object can cut us. The more I think about it, the more anxious I get. Small and otherwise innocuous injuries can turn into major life-changing problems. Example, went on an annual camping trip with friends. This year, like every year, we have a photo shoot in the small creek by our cabin. Slipped on a wet rock and fell face first into the river, catching myself with one hand at the last second. Somehow I managed to severely herniate 3 discs, underwent surgery 1 month later. I now have permanent numbness in my right hand. The Gimpy Gimpy tree looks like a harmless plant. Touch it, and you'll be inflicted with a pain so bad people have actually killed themselves to get out of it, and it can go on for months or even years after just one little finger poke. When people say everything in Australia is trying to kill you, they usually think of the snakes and the spiders, animals in general, but as it happens, the plants want you dead too. Heartwarming news stories that are along the lines of little Susie has a deadly disease. School raises $50,000 so her family can afford to buy her treatment for a year. Like, what sort of hellscape do we live in where people need to have charity drives to get necessary treatments without going deeper into poverty? Very on point. Side note, I tried to write hellscape, but my phone thought I was trying to type healthcare. It would almost seem that they want you to only hear negative stories, or that they might not even want you to be able to have healthcare. I live in a neighborhood where these kids are constantly riding dirt bikes. They whip in front of cars, ignore stop signs, etc. It's going on for over a year now. The police have been called, their parents spoken to, yet nothing has changed. A month ago, one of the kids jetted across a major street where the speed limit is 50 miles per hour. A truck ran right over the top of him, killing him. A 16-year-old boy, dead, because no one even gave him so much as a ticket, and his parents never took the time to tell him, hey, knock it off. Now he's dead, and this poor driver's life is ruined. He'll never unsee it. If he'd left 2 minutes earlier or later, his life would be just as it was. So many things could have happened to stop this, but for whatever reason, didn't. Adults pranking their 3-year-old kids with laxatives and posting it online. What? And everyone thinking it's comedy gold when the kid starts crying because he's cramping and in pain. What the F is wrong with you? People putting their children on social media with corporations that will use it to build a revenue-generating profile before they're old enough to decide for themselves. The black-footed cat in Africa. It looks like a domesticated house cat. It can kill over a dozen birds and mice in a night, and has been known to take down goats and even giraffes by biting their jugulars. When I was 5, my brother and I used to go to my grandmother's house in Oregon, and she lived on a logging road. She had a trellis in front of her yard, and we used to hide in that and throw rocks at the logging trucks rolling by. One time we hit the windshield of a logging truck, and that truck stopped, and the driver came out understandably irate and told my dad what had happened. Only time in my life my dad ever hit me. Frankly, I had it coming. Never did it again. Hear me out. Oliver the Musical. All these upbeat numbers about horrific things, rape, child abuse, starvation, domestic violence, murder, extreme poverty, etc. It isn't even ironic about it. When you focus on the subject matter with the backdrop of catchy show tunes juxtaposed with the source material and the original intent meeting crass commercialism, it becomes this weird horror. The notion that you're supposed to put in a 2 weeks notice when you leave a job. If you put in your notice, the company can just let you go with no negative side effects, as the government views any notice given as a sign of resignation effective the day the notice was given and not the date you gave as last work day. So, if you give a month's notice to be nice, the company can effectively fire you, and you're not able to get unemployment because you resigned. It is almost better to just quit out of the blue than put in your notice, as your notice does not protect you in any way, only the company. However, if you don't put in a 2 weeks notice, you can be gated for being hired elsewhere. Whereas if a company fires you or lays you off, there's no requirement for a notice beforehand or any negative side effects for the company. I've been on both ends of this, and if an employee offers 2 weeks, generally you'll have them finish out their work week and, let them go. Some people you put in 2 weeks and they just fire you immediately. Other people, they will hold you down to the last day. I don't have much of an opinion. It's a courtesy. Is it antiquated? What do you guys think? How absolutely disgusting those long-ass fake nails get. It's impossible to not end up with fecal matter under them. They harbor all kinds of gnarly bacteria and germs because you can't clean under them properly. They also make it so you can't use your hands correctly, which causes arthritis. I learned about this in beauty school, and it's definitely horrifying. Straight up poo talons. Sexual and pornographic imagery everywhere. Sex is a private, sacred act that will take place between living things, whether you advertise it everywhere or not. Advertising it everywhere is purely about controlling people through their most basic instincts and desensitizing people to something that is actually a huge responsibility that involves one of the most powerful aspects of your being and is something reserved for adults only. Special education in the United States, demanding on what the school are doing. The concept sounds positive, but it can be hard to process. I was put through during my school years because of my autism. However, this left me out despite my individualized education program stating that I was to be taught certain classes of my choice. For example, I wasn't given a foreign language until I was a senior in high school. Now, on average, a child would be able to grips from form of different language by around 10 to without being fluent. Keep in mind this is just an averaged, as it's possible to learn a new language at any age. I wasn't able to study Spanish at a younger age. I had to learn some Spanish from my dad's family. During the 1990s and early 2000s, the schools were thought to have thought that people with learning disability are unable to speak other languages. I ended up going to college and university to improve on my Spanish and English courses. However, I was allowed to be an excuse from the foreign language requirement. I'm in my 30s and have some basic knowledge in Spanish. Had I been allowed, or my parents made the school to offer a way to teach me Spanish under the IEP, it would have been able to be someone like a translator. Now it can be done with using visual cues. The schools didn't get the memo. On the other hand, they were told what I was entitled to when they were told about the legal system in Massachusetts, which treats the disabled as a protected class. Creating another life. You created a life without its consent. Gaslight him that he should be grateful for it regardless of the fact that he didn't ask for it and you did it for your own selfish reasons. Name one reason that isn't selfish. Try it. And because of your desire, this entire being has to experience death, wage slavery, climate disaster, other form of slavery, disease, pain, sickness. Yeah, let's make another life, because that is the kindest, most compassionate, and totally not evil thing to do. And it is totally okay, because other people are doing it. I respect everyone's opinion, and I also respect the right to disagree. And as a parent and a human, I wholeheartedly disagree with this line of thinking. Sure, you don't know what that life is going to end up being. But for me, from my perspective, becoming a parent gave my life meaning. And I don't know if you'll know that until it happens to you. Just my opinion. Sorry if that offends anyone. Feminism does not exist in 2022 other than to attack families, children, women, and boys. Because it's a lot easier to conquer when everyone is divided, and really, what better place to divide than man versus woman in a society? Want proof feminism is a bunch of jaded dickheads trying to hurt our country? Go try to talk in their spaces and have an opinion that is different than the group. Just see what happens. Bunch of disgusting Fs. Imagine being in the age of information and still thinking there's a gender pay gap when you can just effing Google the what? 40 reasons men make more than women, 0% of which have anything to do with genitals. The F has feminism done for women recently other than attack families and make women hate men? Oh, right. Nothing. When people buy animals like snakes, pugs, and tarantulas for pranks, just because you're scared of them doesn't mean they aren't living, breathing things and not just props or toys. Imagine if someone bought a dog to F with someone and instantly disregarded it, or put it in a dangerous situation, or killed it. Wouldn't be so kosher then, would it? My cousin purposefully stabbed me in the foot with a large piece of glass when she was 5. I want to say she didn't know any better, but she was an absolute terror. She loved to be violent towards everybody. She also threw a knife at me once and it stuck into the wall, missed my head by about 6 inches. She also hit you with whatever she could find whenever she was angry. I was eating a cup of ramen noodles one time and smacked it into my lap and burned me pretty good. Like, looked at me and hit it. Totally not an accident. My mom saw everything and scolded the shit out of her. Each time she did it, it was on purpose. It wasn't a game to her like most kids see a cartoon and want to copycat, so they throw a toy or something. She knew what discomfort was and what it took to hurt someone. She was angry when she did all the stuff. I've seen kids, when they do things, a lot of times they laugh or smile and think it's a game or are playing. No concept of what they did would hurt someone. It was an ongoing joke within my family that she was going to be a serial killer one day. I was about 11 at the time, and I was scared shitless of her. 1, because she was a little girl and I couldn't do anything about it. 2, because she appeared to like it. 3, because she kept getting away with it. And 4, because she knew what she was doing would cause discomfort to others and did it anyways. Her mother was a deadbeat, and my mom would watch her most of the time. I felt bad for her because she was most definitely and had a lot of issues at home, like an absent father and a mother who didn't care about her. But now that I'm older, I realized that was just her lashing out because she was frustrated and had a hard time talking. And as bad as I felt for her when I was 11, I was so relieved when her mom finally took her back. From what I hear now, she's crashing on random people's couches and scamming money from whoever she can. I really do wish her the best now that I'm older, and I hope she gets the help she needs. She was dealt a bad hand, and it's not her fault, and I hope things get better for her.